I did a real stupid thing, I think. I bought my airplane back again. This thing had been sold to, it's actually had 2 owners in the 2 years since I sold it, neither of which knew how to fly. So the first guy flew it. It probably went maybe 200 feet, I don't know, not too far. It didn't even make it down the runway. It wasn't even at the halfway point on the runway. He took off, came off the ground, scared himself, chopped the throttle, come down like a bucket of rocks, and of course bent the swing arms and axles on the landing gear there. Let's see, I'll zoom in on that a little bit. You can see that swing arm there is kind of aluminum colored. He sold it to another fella, and that fella thought he was going to fix it, so he got new swing arms made and new stub axles in there, and that fixed that problem. And then he wanted to put new Lexan on the doors and so forth on there. So it kind of sat in the hangar for a long time and just kept getting dirty. He never took it out of the hangar. He said he never even sat in the seat, so he never sat in the thing. And it sat there for a long time, and finally he decided, well, fixing airplanes isn't for me, so he says, I'll sell it back to old Don. So now I got it back again. And what I thought I'd do, since I think it's a pretty easy fix, I have to rivet on new Lexan. I'm gonna put Lexan on there. I might as well put new since he drilled the rivets out and the old Lexan's off there. I got the Lexan off, the doors off, the covers back here off. I've taken all that off. The next thing I think I'll do is I'm going to wash up these tail feathers right here and clean them up, because everything's dusty and dirty, been sitting in the hangar for 2 years. So I'm going to clean that up, and I think I'll take the stabilizer off here and the elevator. That'll give me a little bit more room here in the garage to walk around, and they come off pretty easy. I did take the wings off and left the wings down at the hangar, so they're probably just getting dirtier still. And I'm going to start working on putting this thing back together and getting it back in flying shape again. It is still going to be for sale if somebody is interested in the ultralight type flyer. This is a 2-seat ultralight. It's a Chinook. Year of manufacture was 2001. I flew it for about 20 years, but I just got too old to fly anymore. I'm too old to really be working on this thing, and I have no idea why I bought it back. It was really a dumb thing to do. If I had it to do over again, I wouldn't do that. But I feel sorry for the airplane, if anybody can understand that. That's the reason why I started this project, I guess, is because of that. So I doubt there's anybody in the country that flies this kind of airplane anymore. Ultralights aren't as popular as they were, and it's a nice flying airplane. It flies hands off, and 65 horsepower Rotax on it. The prop's kind of dirty there, because the first guy that had it, I think he spent some time taxiing it around before he tried to fly it, but he didn't know how to fly, and when you're flying, you can't slow down. If you chop that throttle, it's going to slow down instantly. If you're trying to climb and you chop the throttle, there's going to be a big wreck. You're going to find out. So that's what happened to it. So I don't see any serious damage to it. There's more damage done by people trying to fix it here than what happened to it. So it's going to be a pretty easy fix, I think. But there's a lot of cleaning up to do. I got to clean up stuff because it really gets dusty and dirty down there in that hangar. So I got to put a battery in it, because I kept telling them to put a battery charger on, but they didn't do that, so the battery was dead. So it's going to need a new battery too. Okay, that's the report from here. There, you can see the bottom of the stabilizer there. It's kind of dirty. I'm gonna put it on the grass and wash it off. But you can see there's no holes in it or anything, even though it's fairly low to the ground when you're doing takeoffs out of grass fields and stuff. And I never have had a hole put in that. Looks good to me. Okay, the control cables have a castellated nut on there. You have to take the cotter pin out, remove the castellated nut, the washer. Not much to it. Disconnected both these control cables to the elevator. I've taken those loose. Now I have to take these screws out just to take the elevator off there. No sense having that in my way while I'm working. So. There's 4 screws here that go in there. They're short, 1032. Now I have to go around to the other side and do 2 screws over here. They're a captive nut. You don't need any wrench on the inside. Just screws right in there. Now I can wash the bottom of this one. But if you want to see it, there it is. If you're wondering what this circle is, it's just a plate of aluminum. I painted it black, but it's so if anything hard got through up against the fabric, it's kind of a fender, glued on fender. That's what I'd call it. This is dishwashing liquid dishwashing soap. It works pretty good on the bugs and stuff. There might be some places you gotta scrub a little bit. Most bugs come off with that stuff. But this is the bottom. People see this when you take off. I guess they can see the bottom of this. But I never do. All told, about 45 minutes. Took them off, washed them on both sides. They're ready to put back on. All you gotta do is put it on reverse order. It's easy. For most people it is. If you wanted to get a look at my tail wheel, this is how it works. That's what I made. This is 4130 steel here. It's clamped in these 2 saddle blocks that bolt into this piece of aluminum, which you see has a little bit of an angle to it. So it has a caster angle backwards rather than forwards, which is what they had under this tube here that's under the rudder. It was going the wrong way, so it wanted to go everywhere but straight. I think that made it a little harder to fly. And these are the holes. Like I say, there's a captive nut, so you don't have to put anything in here. Just take those screws out and that stab comes out of there. I put the tail feathers up in the roof of the garage here. You have to make sure that big garage door spring don't hit anything because it moves back and forth. But I put it up in there. There's the other piece over there. Because it's out of the way, they won't get damaged, and they'll set up there until it's time to put it back together. Or I'm ready to transport it, I should say. I'll probably transport it without putting that on, because they're pretty easy to put on. That big thing up there is a bee's nest, or looks like it's one, but that's just meant to discourage other bees. It's a fake bee's nest made out of paper, but it looks like it's a hornet's nest or something.